How to overcome your approach anxiety. You're thinking of wanting to make more connections with women. Perhaps you're really fed up with dating apps. Perhaps you've been looking for love for quite some time. You've been wanting to connect with more women. And perhaps you're quite frustrated with dating apps. It feels like you're not getting anywhere with them. And you would like to talk to more women, approach women in real life situations. But what's coming up for you is all of those statistics on that women only want to date certain type of man. And you notice that although you would like to do something about it and learn to approach women, but you just can't because you get approach anxiety. So what to do? What can you do then to overcome this approach anxiety? So in this video, I'm going to help you to understand the underlying reasons for your approach anxiety. What are the kind of perhaps more traditional ways of overcoming it? The kind of accounts, the kind of services that they're already available, and how I like to approach anxiety, which is a form of dating anxiety, form of social anxiety. So let's get into it. So what is this approach anxiety? It's essentially, it's a form of social anxiety. It is really the uncomfortable feeling, the anxiety that you feel when you're thinking about approaching women. And you may have never approached women in real life, or maybe you've had a few hesitant approaches or trials, but you've decided that you can't do it. That is just too awful and you're worried about it. So approach anxiety is actually very common. I don't have any statistics on it these days. Everyone's on apps and they're all hoping to find love. So why you might get this approach anxiety is you may lack skills in terms of social skills, in terms of skills of approaching women, knowing what to say, how to do it, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe you don't have much experience. Maybe you don't have even much experience with talking to women on the whole, or even dating. And you may have quite low self-esteem. You don't believe in yourself as good enough. And this may be linked to perhaps previous bad life experiences. Maybe you were a teen or you were quite uncomfortable, and maybe you tried to approach girls who were themselves really uncomfortable at the time and it didn't work out in your favor, or even later on in your 20s. And you have all of these memories of this negative experience. They light up when you even think about approaching women. And you've convinced yourself that women are not interested, or it would be too humiliating to ask someone out in real life. You may have also experienced childhood trauma. So that might be keeping you away from approaching women. So when we have any kind of negative life experiences or even lack experience, we've developed these ideas about ourselves, about the world, about women, and these beliefs are never challenged because you don't have those experiences that might challenge those. What is the function? What is the purpose of this approach anxiety? It is to keep you safe. So all of those thoughts about women not wanting you, or you not being good enough, you're not 6 foot, you are not fit enough, you are not this enough, you are not earning enough. All of those kind of thoughts are keeping you safe in your man cave, indoors, instead of you putting yourself forward and talking to women in real life situations. So there's a real purpose to these thoughts that are keeping you safe. And there are probably real experiences that have contributed to these thoughts and beliefs. So that is all very real. But those beliefs, they don't need to keep you in the current state. If you truly believe that you want to change your luck in love and you want to meet someone, there is a way to do it. So let's talk about what have been the more sort of traditional ways of addressing this approach anxiety. And there are lots of even YouTube channels and men talking about how to pick up women and how to do it in a way that, to me, as a psychologist who specializes in helping people to create healthy relationships, and healthy relationships are based on a healthy self-esteem. And that is of seeing yourself as equal with another person, not as one up, as better than, or not less than, but as an equal, and approaching dating situations from the point of view that seeing yourself as an equal to women and having the right to ask someone else as much as she has the right to say yes or no to that. So there are lots of approaches out there, and there's been books written, and there's accounts and various accounts where there are people talking about how to almost like trick women into being with you. But would you want to be with someone who you've tricked? And that is so short lived. It's almost like, who are you doing it for short term gain? Are you doing it to show other men that you can get lots of women? Are you seeking, needing the women's approval? So that doesn't sound like it's coming from the place of healthy self-esteem when you're building a foundation of a real relationship that has a future. And only by really learning how to build a relationship from day one and building relationship internally too, you can approach women from a place of a healthy self-esteem. So aside of those kind of more focused on pickup tools and how to trick women and how to play the game and all of that kind of stuff, they may work, as I said, in short term, but not in the long term. There are also some really good books on how to approach dating in a more holistic way, in a more conscious way. For example, a fellow psychologist book, Dr. Robert Glove's book on how to date women is really good. It gives you some tools for really developing yourself and developing more of yourself and your self-esteem. So those are helpful. But what then differentiates my approach and how I help my clients with dating approach anxiety? First of all, I focus very much on building the foundations of you. This is not just for getting women into bed. It's not just about short-term gain and boosting your confidence by sleeping with as many women as possible. No, it's about fundamentally believing in yourself. Yes, confidence that you can do it, but fundamentally believing in yourself as good enough and deserving of love. And that is the healthy self-esteem. How my approach differentiates from all of those other previously mentioned approaches is that we'll start from the foundations, understanding who you are, your history, and all of those potential mind blocks that are stopping you from approaching women. Because although you can challenge yourself by putting yourself out there, but you may feel like you don't have the tools and the courage really, because you haven't addressed something that is fundamentally blocking you. So even before putting yourself out there, we need to create the foundations. And once you build the foundations and you've removed certain blocks through my EMDR-informed coaching, and EMDR is a process where we can go and remove maybe certain life events that are still hindering you and that get activated when you are thinking about approaching women. So maybe you were an overweight teen and mentally you see yourself as that teen boy approaching girls who were awkward themselves. Or maybe you were rejected by a girl and that every time that memory lights up. Or there might have been other situations. If you've experienced significant childhood trauma, then I would recommend that you start addressing by going to see a qualified therapist, psychologist first, because that way you start really from building the foundations first. But if we think about the coaching, the EMDR-informed coaching that I do, so then we start building the foundations. We removed any blocks to you approaching women. And then I offer accountability for you to start doing that. practicing first of all in a kind of graded exposure way. So starting by having conversations in various places with women, any women, and then step by step start having more and more conversations and then even more kind of romantic invitations. And you will find that once you believe in yourself as good enough, the words will come. And then you are not reliant on some gimmick or something having to remember something, because it comes from genuinely being you, being tuned within yourself and genuinely talking to her as a human, on the human to human level. And women, at the end of the day, are just humans, vulnerable humans like you. And the women I have worked with over the years, and even friends who have been single, their wish is to meet this wonderful man who they can then create the life they want with. So women are essentially, if you think about it, there's a lot of BS about that women don't want this or they want to be single, all of that. Yes, there are some, but there are so many women out there who are longing for that relationship. So they're essentially rooting for you to take action and saying, come on, without knowing you yet, but hoping that that man who they want to be with, they take action and they start to really address whatever is blocking them from approaching. And if you start approaching with friendliness, with kindness and confidence, that is so sexy and so attractive. And that will get you results. But if you are hoping to get action by sitting in your cave, playing computer games, or being online, that won't get you anywhere. Unfortunately, society has narrowed down to us living so much more online. And that is not good for our connections. It really isn't. So I urge you to now take your next step. And if you truly want to change your love life and get rid of your approach anxiety, do book a call with me and let's talk about what's stopping you and how could I help you to transform your love life from today. So I'll leave a link below and you can book a free call and we'll figure out what it is that you need to get there, to be able to approach women in real life, to be able to talk to more women with ease. Yes, there might be a little bit of anxiety, but not the crippling anxiety that is stopping you from putting yourself out there. And your life could just be completely different. And I don't mean just your love life, but when you can overcome this, I could imagine that it will impact all other areas of your life too, because it brings so much confidence and belief in you. So do get in touch. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.